buying a laptop, you shouldn't feel like you're choosing your first starter Pokemon, but these days wading through the ads, specs, and influencers come screaming at you that this $2,000 plastic toaster is going to be your perfect daily driver, when it's probably not going to be, can get a little confusing. And most guides act like you already know what a thermal envelope is, or even worse, that you would care what it is. By the way, a thermal envelope is the maximum amount of heat that your device, laptop, or whatever can handle safely before performance is reduced. So yeah, so today we're going to break it down for you, hopefully make it a little bit easy. If it makes sense, we'll explain it. If it doesn't, we'll skip it. And if your laptop needs a dongle for its dongle, then we're probably arguing an Apple device and, well, you know. Let's get started. Okay, so let's first cut through all the noise. Before you get seduced by marketing buzzwords like AI-powered synergy or liquid retina extreme super displays, ask yourself one simple question. What the hell are you actually going to do with this thing?
Exactly, because buying a laptop without knowing the use case is like ordering a mystery meal at a diner and hoping it's not liver.
So here's the deal. We're going to break laptop buying down into 6 categories.
First up, casual users. You check emails, stream Netflix, Google random health symptoms that you definitely shouldn't ignore, and maybe type up the occasional document.
Yeah, your biggest concern is probably going to be battery life and whether your keyboard sounds like tap dancing spiders. You don't really need a $2,000 laptop to watch Bridgerton in 4K.
Next up, students. You've got lectures, PDFs, late-night paddock essays, and approximately 37 Chrome tabs open at all times.
Yeah, you're going to need a decent battery life, a webcam that doesn't look like a potato, and enough RAM to survive your multitasking chaos. And bonus points if it also doesn't weigh as much as your textbooks.
Creatives, gather around. If your life involves video editing, audio work, graphic design, 3D rendering, you need a power horse, and not the kind that comes with RGB puke lighting.
Wait a minute, my laptop has some RGB light, forget it. For creatives, you're going to need some serious specs. Think of your laptop like a digital workhorse with anxiety. If it doesn't have enough guts to run After Effects without melting, then it's a definite no.
For the business crowd, whether you're in sales, finance, HR, or running 5 Zoom meetings back to back, God help you, you need reliability. Not razzle-dazzle, which I know is a term old people use. I'm old, so.
What all that translates to is you're going to need a good webcam, solid battery, and decent security, and enough ports that you're not living the dongle life. I mean, nobody wants to pitch something while your laptop sounds like a jet engine about to take off.
Gamers, we see you. You need power, cooling, a GPU that can handle Elden Ring without sounding like a microwave having a panic attack.
Yeah, but, let's also be real, because half of y'all are going to say that it's for school and then fire up Steam 5 minutes later. No shame, just make sure your specs match your ambitions.
Finally, devs and power users. You run virtual machines, compile code, maybe dual boot Linux, just to feel something.
Yeah, you guys are going to need RAM, you're going to need cores, you're going to need ports, and you probably don't need a touchscreen, but, who am I to crush your dreams?
Okay, so now that you have your tribe, let's find out how much exactly you should and probably should not spend on a laptop. Okay, so let's answer the question that everybody's silently screaming. How much should you actually spend on a laptop? The short answer is less than you're scared of, but it's definitely more than you were hoping.
Because here's the trap. You spend too little and your laptop wheezes when you open Google Docs. If you spend too much, then you're paying for glowing fans, AI-enhanced everything, and brushed aluminum that gets scratched by air.
Okay, so for the casual users out there, you're going to be looking at about $400 to about $700. And that's going to handle your email, your streaming, YouTube spirals, any Googling of whether this is a weird mole or a raisin. Spec-wise, look at about 256 gig SSD and a decent 1080p screen. Just skip the bells, avoid the whistles, and you should be fine.
For students, you guys are going to be looking at about $600 to $1,000. And this is going to be the perfect range for research papers, Zoom classes, and Chrome tabs. Just just so many Chrome tabs. And the key specs that you need to look out for is a mid-tier CPU, something in the Core i5 Ryzen 5 area, the 16 gigs of RAM, 10-hour battery life, and a webcam that doesn't look like Bigfoot footage.
For creatives, you're going to have to crack open your wallet a little because you're going to be looking at about $1,200 to $2,500 plus. This is going to handle all that Adobe Suite mess, Blender, basically all your 4K dreams. I mean, spec-wise, you want a fast CPU, 16 to 32 gigs of RAM. I would definitely go to the 32 section based on what you're actually doing on it. You definitely want a decent GPU. You know, if you're an Apple series, you're looking for an Apple M series with the media engines and a screen that actually shows you what purple looks like.
And future-proofing, that's pretty much marketing speak. What usually kills laptops in the end are cheap batteries, useless pre-installed apps, and companies pushing updates like it's a loyalty test. Know exactly what you want to do with the device and buy based on your need.
For gamers to run your AAA titles, esports, RGB rituals, you're going to be looking at $1,000 plus. You want a decent GPU, think RTX 4060 plus, a fast CPU, 16 to 32 gigs of RAM again. I would definitely go into high-end side for the RAM. It would help your gaming experience overall. And you want a cooling system that doesn't make your laptop sound like a jet engine idled.
For the business professionals, you guys are looking at about $800 to $1,500. That range is going to be perfect for you to live your spreadsheet lifestyle while throwing in some presentations and those 17 video calls you have during the day. Spec-wise, you just need a solid build, a 1080p webcam, long battery life, and make sure you have enough ports so you're not living in dongle hell.
Developers / power users, you're going to be looking at about $1,200 to $2,000 plus. And that's perfect for getting you something that will compile code perfectly, run containers, and just as many tabs as you want. No, you're going to need a strong multi-core CPU, at least 16 gigs, but 32 gigs is definitely better. A fast SSD, and bonus points if it doesn't treat Linux like a virus.
And look, budgeting isn't about what you can spend. It's about not spending $2,000 on a laptop so you can check your emails and run Reddit in dark mode. Buying a gaming laptop to run PowerPoint is like renting a monster truck to pick up your dry cleaning. Kind of cool, but not necessary. When it comes to actually purchasing a laptop, the spec sheet is where most laptop buyers either fall asleep or fall for marketing nonsense. So let's actually break down the ones that matter and ignore the ones that sound like they were written by some guy named Chad who vapes at Micro Center.
So the CPU is like the brains of the operation. This is the processor. So it handles everything from launching apps to running AI, spreadsheets, TikTok edits. I mean, think of it like your laptop's multitasking ability. The better the CPU, the faster stuff gets done. So for casual and students, you want an Intel Core i5 13th or 14th gen or an AMD Ryzen 5 7000 plus series. For creatives, gamers, and pro users, you want an Intel Core i7, again 13th or 14th gen, or a Ryzen 7 7000 series. If you're an Apple user, look for an M2 or an M3. Avoid anything that says Pentium, Celeron, or MediaTek, unless you're building a time machine back to 2012.
So RAM, or aka the short-term memory of your laptop, is a pretty important piece. RAM is what lets you juggle multiple things at once. Not enough RAM and your laptop freezes like it saw Medusa. You can think of it like your desk space. The more RAM you have, the more room you have to work without knocking over your coffee. For minimal needs, students, and casual users, you're looking at about 16 gigs and you should be good. For creatives, gamers, and pros, 16 is the minimum, but ideally you want to shoot for 32 or higher, especially if you're video editing or running massive projects. 4 to 8 nowadays, that's a crime. I mean, even Chromebooks are outgrowing that.
Storage is where all your files live. Photos, video games, bad decisions. You're gonna want an SSD. It's like teleporting compared to the old school hard drives, which were more like taking a Greyhound bus with viruses. For casual users and students, look for 512 gigs at least. For creative, pros, and gamers, you'll want a terabyte or higher. Bonus if it's an NVMe SSD, that's like SSD with rocket fuel. Avoid 128 or 256 gigs, if you want your laptop to survive more than 6 months. Also, nothing with HHD. That's just old. Like VCR old.
The GPU is your graphical muscle that handles your visuals. So if you're just browsing and typing, it's not that important. But if you're gaming, editing, and 3D rendering, this is your engine. An integrated graphics equals an economy car. A dedicated GPU is a sports car with LED underglows. So what should a casual and student user look for? Again, integrated graphics for you are fine. An Intel Iris Xe or an AMD Radeon Vega. If you're in the Apple camp, you're looking for an M2 GPU, those should be great for what you need to do. For creatives, gamers, and pros, you're looking for a dedicated graphics unit. Think NVIDIA RTX 3050, 4060 or higher. For the AMD route, think AMD Radeon RX 6600M or higher. And some creative apps love NVIDIA more than they do AMD, thanks CUDA cores, but AMD is still a solid value pack if you don't use those nuanced apps.
For battery life, this one's actually pretty simple. Manufacturers lie, like all the time. If they say 12 hours, expect 8. If they say 8, expect 4. If they say all day, assume they mean all day, if your screen's off. Look for real world reviews. If you're a casual user or a student, 8 hours plus is counting your minimum. If you're a creative, a gamer, or a pro user, 5 to 6 hours is fine, but expect less, especially if you're on a gaming rig or 4K display. Remember, bigger specs equals more heat equals more battery drain. Physics hates us all equally.
Webcams and mics can sometimes be an afterthought, but you also don't want to sound and look like a potato because we do live Zooms and Teams meetings now, so your laptop should make you look like a human and not a Minecraft NPC. So what you should look for is at minimum a 1080p webcam with a dual array mic, or consider a good external mic. What to avoid would be any 720p webcams nowadays because, just why?
When it comes through ports on a laptop, it's really important to some, not at all important to others. The bare minimum you really want to look for is at least one USB-A port, 2 USB-C ports, preferably Thunderbolt, a headphone jack maybe, and HDMI is a bonus, especially if you use a second screen. For Apple users, just be prepared to carry a dongle bag the size of your hopes and dreams.
So there, now if you see a laptop listed with an Intel Core i7, 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, RTX 4060, you actually know what that means. And if you also see an 8 gigabyte, 256 gig Intel U series, you know that's code for, don't do it to yourself.